after 14 years of a Conservative in name only left-wing government, Brits woke up to a massive, monumental, exciting change. Another 5 years of a left-wing government.
We did it!
But there's more than a modicum of good news, and that starts with MP Nigel Farage.
Farage Nigel Paul, Reform UK, 21,235.
Other prominent Reform candidates like Lee Anderson also won.
Lee Anderson, Reform UK, 17,062.
But illustrating how rigged the first past the post system is in favour of establishment parties, Reform UK came third in the overall vote share, yet gained only 4 seats in Parliament. Reform got 14% of the vote share, over 4 million votes. Lib Dems got 12% of the vote share, 3.5 million votes. Reform gets over 500,000 more votes than Lib Dems, yet they get 71 seats and Reform gets 4. 500,000 fewer votes and they win 67 more seats. Gotta love democracy. SNP got 3.7 million fewer votes than Reform, yet they won more than double the seats. Reform had to get 1 million votes per parliamentary seat, compared to just a fraction of that for Labour to get 1 seat. 4 million Brits are represented in Parliament by just 4 people. That's insane. Labour, 34% of the vote, 64% of seats. Reform UK, 14% of the vote, 1% of seats. Labour received around 2.5 times the number of votes compared to Reform, yet got 100 times the number of seats in Parliament. Gotta love democracy. If we had proportional representation, Reform would have won 93 seats. The system's rigged against smaller parties, but the fact that Reform came second in nearly 100 seats, third in the overall vote share, established that beachhead in Parliament that Farage wanted, with paltry resources and barely a month of proper campaigning, with a tiny disorganised party that couldn't even field candidates in some areas, and faced one of the most intensive dirty tricks media demonisation campaigns ever witnessed. Reform's relative success has still sent shockwaves through the establishment.
I think what Reform UK has achieved in those just few short weeks is truly extraordinary. Given that we had no money, no branch structure, virtually nothing across the country, we are going to come second in hundreds of constituencies. How many seats we're going to win, I don't know. But to have done this in such a short space of time says something very fundamental is happening.
Basically, the Tories can never win an election again unless they actually become right-wing. And now Farage has a legitimate platform to accelerate a movement that will finally provide a real right-wing opposition in the country. 2014, in 5 years' time, we will have forgotten who Nigel Farage was. Well, that aged like milk. And just as I recorded this video, there was more good news for Reform when they won a 5th seat.
Our candidate, James McMurdoch, was a paper candidate, drafted in at the last minute, former city boy, and he was absolutely neck and neck with Labour in the seat. So I rang him up earlier, I said, look, give me the name of your agent so that I can find out what's happening, because they were on the 3rd recount. He said, I haven't got an agent, I'm my own agent. I said, well, who's in the hall watching the vote counting? He said, my mum and dad, and he's won. He's an MP. Go on, my son.
Meanwhile, incredible scenes in Birmingham, where Labour's Jess Phillips scraped through to win by the narrowest of margins, and then got heckled by her Islamist opponents.
Phillips, Jessica Rose, known as Jess Phillips, Labour Party, 11,275.
I will carry on with my speech. I understand that a strong woman standing up to you is met with such reticence.
Thanks to mass migration, sectarian Islamism is now embedded as a political force in British politics. Something that's only going to get worse under a Labour government as they drone on about diversity being our greatest strength. Labour's victory is starting to look a little hollow when you realise this is the most distorted election in history. Labour won nearly 2/3 of seats with just 1/3 of the popular vote. And Keir Starmer barely got any more votes than Jeremy Corbyn when he ran for Prime Minister. Thanks to Ground News, I can instantly access every story on it and compare coverage. This looks like a massive blind spot for the media, with them preferring to focus on the wider narrative of Labour's victory and seat majority, rather than asking hard questions about whether there was that much enthusiasm behind their voters other than wanting to get rid of the Tories. Ground News helps me track all this and shines a spotlight on misleading narratives. You can check this out for yourself at ground.news/PJW. The link's down below. If you're a For a news junkie like me, Ground News is the Rosetta Stone of breaking news and media monitoring. Instead of wasting time wading through scores of different websites, everything is there in one place, helping you stay informed of breaking news developments as they happen. And more importantly, what the media isn't covering, which could lead to blind spots. And yes, they sponsor me, but I actually use their site daily. I've got Ground News bookmarked because it's an invaluable tool in crafting these very videos and the articles you'll find on my website. Their UK election page is a great insight into tracking the fallout from all this. Unless we forget the big one is coming up later this year, the US presidential election. So especially as we get closer to that fateful day. Instead of arguing with that crazy uncle of yours, you can use Ground News to show them they might only be getting one side of the story. So it's never been a better time to check out ground.news/PJW or scan the QR code on the screen. They're currently offering my viewers 40% off the Vantage plan, which is the one I use, for unlimited access. Crucially, they're independently owned and subscriber funded. Subscribers support their mission to hold the media accountable. And I can't emphasize this enough, but by supporting my sponsor, you support me directly. That's how I'm able to continue doing what I do. So thanks again to Ground News. Now we have a leader who can't seem to decide whether or not a woman can have a penis.
So a woman can have a penis?
Nick, I'm not... I don't think we can conduct this debate with, you know...
Sorry, have I offended you in some way?
No, it's just... I just...
A woman can have a penis?
I don't think that discussing this issue in this way helps.
A leader who says he openly prefers the interests of Davos globalists over the interests of his own country.
You have to choose now between Davos or Westminster.
Davos.
Why?
Because Westminster is too constrained.
But despite the supposedly non-partisan mainstream media falling over themselves with glee at his supermajority.
Whoa. Oh my God.
Yeah, you can see.
When you look at his actual numbers, there are big problems ahead for Keir Starmer. Labour won 65% of parliamentary seats with just 34% of the vote. Pretty much every Prime Minister for the last half century won a higher vote share than Keir Starmer. And Labour only got around 9.6 million votes out of a 48 million registered voter base. Put simply, 80% of UK citizens did not vote for this government. Hardly a ringing endorsement, is it?
We did it!
It seems the two-party monopoly is also starting to crumble. Labour and the Tories got a lower vote share between them yesterday than at any time since 1918. The apathetic low turnout also illustrates the loss of faith in the establishment parties. Down from 67% at the last election to 59%. The lowest in 20 years, and it could drop to the lowest level since World War II. This could be the inflection point, where enough people start to reject the uniparty for it actually to matter. There's a massive legitimacy crisis coming, and Reform are going to be in prime position to take advantage of it.
There's no enthusiasm for Labour. There's no enthusiasm for Starmer whatsoever. In fact, about half of the vote is simply an anti-Conservative vote. This Labour government will be in trouble very, very quickly.
Starmer didn't win this election, the Tories lost it spectacularly by betraying their promises, stabbing their 2019 voters in the back, overseeing crippling high taxes and insane levels of mass migration, and running the worst political campaign in living memory. They'll blame Reform for their complete wipeout, but it's all on them. Laughably, the political class is still claiming that the Tories got pummeled because they were too right-wing, despite all the One Nation Tory wets getting completely obliterated, and the few actually right-wing Tories like Kemi Badenoch and Suella Braverman winning their seats. If there's one black pill, it's that the UK is now fundamentally a left-wing country. Let's see how left-wing they are after 5 years of a Labour government. If you value what I do and you want to help support me, please visit pauljosephwatson.locals.com and either pledge a one-time donation or subscribe to join my community, get early access videos, and message me directly. And exclusive live streams coming soon too. Promise. Check out the Locals link down in the description. And don't forget to take a look at the brand new website modernity.news. That's where you'll find all my content, including exclusive articles. That's modernity.news.